right, guys. Welcome back. We're going to get into stabilization of the knee. This is also very good for the hip and low back. And we're going to talk about one of my favorite exercises. I think it should be something that every person should do every day, especially after doing the segment on, if you haven't reviewed it, the secrets of the hip and knee. And I just talked about how to get your nervous system wired in a way, rewired, your software upgraded, so that you could do this exercise. So that precludes doing this because I'm a real big proponent of this. If you think about it, why would we build a crooked, dangerous road and then load traffic on it? And so often when we go to the gym or when we do an exercise, we're training in the faults. And when we really are wanting to have efficiency of movement, a nice level foundation for our house, and then we go and we train in these faults, everything we're doing in the gym is actually leading to less efficient movement. And I talk to that with the players I work with all the time, the athletes here at Eastern Illinois University, how important it is to have good movement, to have more of the physique and body build of an MMA guy than the guy who's just really good at this movement. Because how helpful is that and efficient is that? That makes you essentially a tick. You lose the real functional mobility. And so we want that movement to happen efficiently. You need the preparatory exercise prior to this. But after you've done that, we're going to talk about hip hinging. When somebody bends forward, I like to see if their software is updated, and a lot of times it has a virus. I say, bend forward for me, and they do this, and they arch right here. That immediately tells me that they're going to use these little small muscles of the low back as opposed to these big hamstring muscles for lifting. And kettlebells, again, kettlebell swings help foster proper use of the hamstring and back muscles for this. But when you bend, the first proper movement, if you don't have a virus in your software, so to speak, is you should arch your back when you go forward, just a little bit, instead of hunching. So that's a lot to think about. And the good news is, if you're thinking about it, that's not correct software either. You want to have that happen like a reflex, like a bug coming at your eye and you shut it. It should happen that way. So one way to build in good hip hinging, which is, they call it hip hinging because the motion when I bend forward is around, if you could imagine a skewer going right through my hip. My axis of rotation is right around that hip. And that's what we want hip hinging to happen. And that's going to help your back and make you much more efficient with your lifting. So for that to happen automatically, and to stabilize in 3D, three-dimensional, all the different motions that are being stabilized and calling upon your midbrain for balance, the farmer's carry is a phenomenal exercise. So for those that can do this, we like to have a kettlebell on each side. You could also do it with a barbell. A lightweight, I have 10 pounds here on my right, 15 on my left. A little bit higher weight on the side down. And we're going to come in, and we want the shoulder ideally to be about 2 inches behind the ear. If it's not, we'll get the shoulder mobility, but get the motion that you can there. And when I do that, you'll notice my low back goes into a proper sort of arch there. And so when I get into that position, the exercise I'm going to do is to lunge forward and come back up and then go forward and do it again. I do it from this angle so you can see my lower back. It's still arched. I'm learning to have that proper arch in there as I do an exercise. And I'm also going to have to fire my glutes. And I'll start off with 4 or 5, and then 4 or 5 the other with them reversed. Okay? But we'll just go ahead and you'll want to get to where you do 10 each way. It's a good exercise for us. The number's not so important. This is giving your brain a chance to actually do the exercise. Running out of room here. Hopefully you can still see that. But let's say we did 10. Then I'm going to reverse it. And we're going to come back. We're going to do 10. Again. 3, 4, I'm cheating. 5, 6. You'll notice that I'm not going like this. You may want to do that early on. Maybe early on you can only do 2 before you stutter. And for people who haven't done this in a while and haven't been using their glutes, it's going to be really weird. But again, like riding a bicycle, it will come to you. So you say, I don't have any barbells, or they're too heavy. It's okay. We just want your hands to be wrapped around something, okay? In a grip-like motion. Again, good for the brain. And so we can do the same thing with these little guys right here. Probably better for someone starting out because it's not about the weight. I'm just trying to give my brain a little more difficult puzzle. And this is a perfect way to start. So that's the farmer's carry, one of my all-time favorites for getting proper function hardwired into the low back, strengthening the muscles of the quads, and also the glute muscles, which support the pelvis, so that when I walk now, I won't be firing my hamstrings and my back muscles all day. Incidentally, when you work the big muscles of the thigh, that is going to stimulate growth hormone. And if you follow Dr. Merkla on his website, he has a wonderful library as well. And if you hold off on fructose for 2 to 3 hours after this, you'll stimulate more growth hormone. And if you get into a habit every day, you'll find yourself keeping your weight more manageable, much easier, without even having thought about your weight. So just a nice another little benefit to the farmer's carry. That's good for this module. I hope you'll tune in for the next.